I mean, is it an act? Does she really think that she's in touch with Diana beyond the grave? It's absolutely astonishing. In absolute seriousness, he really does believe that Meghan is talking to Diana, his mother.
Wherever she is, whether it's at Costner or in Colombia or in Nigeria or wherever, she's always, her publicist will reveal that she's wearing one of Diana's jewels. In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law.
Tom Bower had just uncovered something truly remarkable, a deep and intense fixation Meghan Markle had on Princess Diana, and what unfolded next was nothing short of astonishing. This wasn't simply a casual admiration or distant appreciation. Meghan appeared completely captivated by Diana's life, almost as if she lived inside Diana's world. That fascination wasn't just harmless nostalgia. It was beginning to take a powerful hold on her, influencing her decisions and causing her behavior to become increasingly unusual and unpredictable. Not long after Meghan had marked her birthday, the signs of this Diana obsession were still glaringly obvious. Then, out of nowhere, a photo surfaced Meghan swimming in the water, alongside an image of Diana displaying an uncanny resemblance. The side-by-side comparison was so striking, it felt almost impossible to overlook, suggesting Meghan was once again consciously channeling Diana's iconic style and spirit. It's important to remember, long before Meghan ever crossed paths with Prince Harry or entered the royal circle, Diana's legacy was already a major influence in her life. While Meghan would later claim that she had little knowledge of royal customs and lifestyle, the hidden reality behind the scenes painted a very different picture. From Diana, from biographies to countless magazine covers spotlighting the princess,
she had gone over there on a charity trip to help bring or build clean water resources for this area. I believe it was in Rwanda. And so this picture is out of place because she was meant to be working while there to make this happen. And she brought along extra suitcases of wardrobe and her own personal photographer.
Meghan was said to have been utterly captivated by Diana from a very young age. Even as a teenager, her room reportedly overflowed with pictures and keepsakes dedicated to Diana, reflecting more than just admiration. It was like Diana became the living symbol Meghan aspired to emulate. In Meghan's mind, forging a connection with the royal family wasn't just about status. It was a golden ticket to step confidently into a similar global spotlight. And once Meghan stepped into Harry's world, that childhood fascination seemed to amplify even more intensely. While she never fully revealed the depth of this connection, the choices Meghan made kept drawing inescapable comparisons to Diana, sparking whispers and speculation about whether she secretly dreamed of becoming the new Diana all along. Think back to Diana's unforgettable walk through a dangerous minefield, just months before her tragic passing, a defining moment of compassion and bravery. That profound humanitarian act seemed to resonate deeply with Meghan as well. Even before meeting Harry, she had undertaken her own eye-opening trip to Rwanda, presenting it as a charitable mission. But as the details of that trip came to light, the way events unfolded quickly began to prompt some serious questions and intrigue. With her serious, focused gaze and perfectly groomed eyebrows, Meghan's 2016 trip to Rwanda already suggested something more than just a simple goodwill visit. She packed extra outfits, carefully chosen to make an impression, and perhaps most tellingly,
and according to reports, and from them themselves, Meghan was wearing Princess Diana's favorite perfume for her dates with Harry in the beginning. So Meghan already, upon meeting Harry, has planted images and scents to remind him of his mother. Even in a subconscious way, like kind of sneakily, which is weird.
She wasn't leaving behind her personal photographer. As soon as she arrived, the camera started clicking relentlessly, and the poses followed one after another, turning what was supposed to be a selfless journey into something that looked like a meticulously crafted photo shoot. Instead of directing all the attention to the important charity work at hand, Meghan appeared deeply invested in capturing sleek, polished images of herself throughout the trip. This approach instantly drew comparisons to Princess Diana, who had famously crafted unforgettable, heartfelt images through her humanitarian efforts. It felt like Meghan was determined to shape a similarly powerful public persona, intentionally creating a visual narrative about herself. The Rwanda trip became an early and telling glimpse of just how influential Diana's iconic public image might have been in molding the version of Meghan the world was being invited to see. What could have been dismissed as a mere coincidence like that earlier swimming photo suddenly took on a more deliberate tone, and the next detail only intensified this impression. After Meghan and Harry's relationship blossomed, she developed a keen interest in something deeply personal and symbolic: Princess Diana's signature perfume, used to wear. Harry was already falling head over heels for Meghan, captivated by her presence.
This is the stuff that psychologists train for. And it is a way, I think, for Meghan to get people to talk about her. It is a way for Meghan, I believe, to manipulate Harry in a really twisted sort of way. But I also think there has got to be something mentally not right there. I believe this is completely pathological.
Meghan then revealed the name of that special scent she had chosen to wear. But what came next made the whole story even more fascinating and emotionally charged. During some of their earliest dates, Meghan began wearing that very same perfume, the one deeply linked to Diana. It quickly became such a meaningful part of their time together that skipping it felt like something important was missing, a silent signal that the bond wasn't quite complete. For Meghan, this was far more than just a fragrance or a nice scent to wear. The perfume held an emotional weight, carrying a heartfelt connection to Diana. By wearing it around Harry, Meghan was subtly invoking the memory of his beloved mother, weaving an unspoken, tender reminder into their blossoming relationship. It was a gentle but incredibly powerful gesture, a move that seemed thoughtfully crafted to both deepen Harry's feelings for her and keep Diana's spirit alive in their shared moments. Yet,
online thought that she was attempting to cosplay as her late mother-in-law yet again. She's been hit with with accusations like this before, but here's the image in question. Now, it is weird seeing them side by side. It is weird seeing them side by side because I would argue, oh no, that's an accident. But then when I actually see the one piece, the leg formation, the arms out, it's like she planned for it.
this perfume was only the opening act. Soon, Diana's influence began to show up in Meghan's mannerisms as well. Observers started catching glimpses that reminded them of Diana, the iconic, downward cast of her eyes during conversations, the familiar, expressive facial cues, and those subtle, graceful gestures that Diana was so well known for. Meghan had always been naturally warm, open, and expressive in her communication. However, suddenly, there was definitely a shift in the atmosphere. Meghan started covering her mouth when she laughed, speaking in a softer, more subdued tone that felt almost unlike the confident woman everyone once knew. For those who had grown accustomed to her earlier, more outspoken personality, the transformation was so pronounced.
I do think that the Australian trip turned their head in a crazy way, although she behaved appallingly during the trip.
Yeah.
But in Harry's view, this was his mother all over again. What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was cheered as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also the institution.
That it felt as if they were witnessing an entirely new version of Meghan. By this point, comparisons to Princess Diana were rapidly becoming a defining part of Meghan's public image. Every glance she gave, every subtle expression, and every carefully observed gesture seemed to add another piece to an unfolding puzzle. The parallels with Diana were growing so clear and frequent that many found it impossible to dismiss them as mere coincidence. Once Meghan appeared to have adopted Diana's nuanced mannerisms, the story moved into a new phase, her wardrobe choices. She began showing up in outfits that bore an uncanny resemblance to some of Diana's most iconic looks from years before. One particular gala appearance caught widespread attention, with Meghan donning an ensemble that seemed like a deliberate nod to Diana's distinctive style, right down to the complete presentation. But the transformation didn't stop at clothing alone. The way Meghan posed for photographs started to evoke a familiar aura.
Cover. So Harry himself has been guilty of this, trying to compare her to Diana. The same thing's going to happen to her if the press keeps writing negative things.
The thing is, this week I heard this extraordinary story, which I'm sure is true because it came from Harry's lips, that Harry told a friend of his when he was in London recently that Meghan is in touch with Diana, and that Diana is assuring
Princess Diana,
the mother, and that Meghan is assuring Harry that his mother is absolutely sure that what they're doing is right. And she supports them absolutely in everything they're doing.
And even the settings for some of her photo shoots bore striking similarities to those once chosen by Diana, deepening the sense that history was quietly repeating itself. Images connected to Diana had become a common sight. Then, more recently, Meghan's birthday photos surfaced, capturing her mid-air as she leapt into a swimming pool, an instantly viral moment that sent waves of nostalgia, recalling Diana's well-known, carefree plunge from years before. One matching outfit might be shrugged off as coincidence. Even one similar pose could be dismissed. But as these uncanny parallels kept piling up, people began to wonder, was Meghan simply drawing inspiration from Diana's legacy? Or was she consciously shaping her own identity around Diana's iconic image? The mounting similarities soon grew too striking for critics and fans alike to overlook. Then came the pivotal 2018 Australian tour, shortly after Harry and Meghan's much-celebrated wedding. The public response was electric. Streets overflowed with adoring crowds, eager to catch a glimpse of the newlyweds, who, as active members of the royal family, found themselves thrust further into the global spotlight. But behind the scenes,
Tailed a trip back to Diana's resting place, where Meghan was putting her hands on the gravestone and communicating with Diana's spirit and asking for guidance, and even laid on the grave at one point, which feels kind of inappropriate and a little extreme, just maybe taking it a little too far. You know, it's not her mother.
According to author Katie Nicholl of Bauer Media, Harry and Meghan sensed something more profound. They felt as though Diana's enchanting spirit had wrapped itself around the entire tour, as if her presence was quietly watching over them, offering a quiet, almost mystical blessing. For Meghan, this deeply personal experience only added to the emotional weight of the moment, reinforcing a connection that seemed to transcend the ordinary, seemed to deepen the bond between Meghan and Diana's legacy, making that connection feel even more intense. However, simply mimicking Diana's style, her iconic poses, or public persona could never instantly grant Meghan the same kind of influence or affection. Diana had spent years, decades even, carefully nurturing a distinct and heartfelt relationship with the public by fully embracing her royal responsibilities and passionately engaging in humanitarian causes. That powerful legacy wasn't something Meghan could just slip into overnight. It was a delicate, intricate tapestry woven slowly and deliberately throughout Diana's entire life. I do believe that the Australian tour truly shifted public perception in a dramatic and unexpected way, despite Meghan's behavior during the visit, raising plenty of eyebrows for all the wrong reasons. But from Harry's perspective, this experience eerily echoed his mother's own struggles and challenges. What Meghan may have never fully grasped, and perhaps still doesn't, is that when she was formally welcomed as a working member of the royal family, it wasn't simply because she was Meghan Markle, the individual. Rather, it was because she stood as a representative of British royalty itself, embodying the values, traditions, and centuries of history upheld by the Queen and the institution. So, the cheers and admiration weren't just directed at her as a person, but at the entire revered institution she symbolized. The thing is, this week, I recently heard an incredible story that I truly believe, especially since it came straight from Harry himself. While in London not long ago, Harry confided in a close friend that Meghan has been in contact with Diana's spirit. He shared that Diana, his beloved mother, is reassuring him from beyond that she fully supports the decisions Harry and Meghan are making. In fact, Meghan is said to be comforting Harry by passing along his mother's unwavering confidence in their path, Emphasizing that Diana wholeheartedly stands behind everything they're doing, the story goes even deeper. Meghan's very first act was to seek Diana's guidance, not just a quick visit, but a profoundly intimate moment. With her hands gently resting on Diana's grave, it felt as if Meghan was reaching out in search of a direct, almost spiritual connection to Harry's late mother. But what happened next transformed this remembrance into something much more intense. Meghan didn't treat that visit like a simple tribute or ordinary gesture of respect. Instead, she seemed to be reaching for something far more meaningful, something beyond what anyone might expect at such a hallowed place. The tale says she took not one but two additional steps beyond just standing at the grave, steps that heightened the entire encounter's emotional charge, turning it into a truly dramatic moment. This wasn't just about quiet reflection, it was an earnest quest for something profound and deeply personal, a search that stirred the heart and added a powerful layer to their story. Sense of approval, purpose, and deep connection with the woman whose legacy had become a cornerstone in Harry's life. For Harry, seeing Meghan tap into Diana's memory in such an intimate, heartfelt way must have carried tremendous emotional significance. Diana wasn't just an iconic figure or a distant royal to him. She was his mother, a guiding presence whose loss had left an indelible mark on his journey. So, when Meghan appeared to share a unique bond or understanding with Diana's spirit, it struck Harry on a profoundly personal level. But this is precisely why these moments sparked so much debate and controversy. What some viewed as genuine respect or heartfelt mourning, others saw as Meghan amplifying the Diana connection to unprecedented extremes. Given everything that had unfolded already, the carefully chosen perfumes, the wardrobe nods, the mimicked mannerisms, the evocative photographs, and even spiritual references, the visit to Diana's grave seemed like yet another bold, deliberate turn in a constantly evolving narrative. Then came Meghan and Harry's 2024 trip to Nigeria, and, predictably, the echoes of Diana were never far behind. While the journey was officially tied to the Invictus Games and charitable causes, for those scrutinizing Meghan's every action, the comparisons and questions immediately resurfaced, adding new layers to the intriguing saga. One more intriguing detail that caught everyone's attention was this. Princess Diana had traveled to Nigeria as well decades earlier, long before Meghan's visit. This connection quickly became a key piece in the larger puzzle surrounding Meghan's story. With all the comparisons already swirling Diana's iconic outfits, her graceful poses, mannerisms, the striking photographs, and even those whispered stories of shared spiritual moments, another shared destination was bound to spark even more conversation. To many critics, it seemed like Meghan was once again following in Diana's footsteps, retracing a path worn by the people's princess herself. But this raises a deeper question worth pondering. Is Meghan truly inspired by Diana, earnestly trying to celebrate and honor her incredible legacy? Or have these parallels gotten so intense that Meghan's own unique identity is starting to blur, overshadowed by the shadow of Diana's influence? This is where opinions fiercely diverge, with everyone bringing their own perspective to the debate. So what's your take on all this? Do you see Meghan's admiration for Princess Diana as a heartfelt tribute, or do you think it's gone beyond that line, risking her own authenticity? Be sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you think. And if you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating stories, and share it with your friends. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to catch you in the next video.